Hey, what's happening, people? Ray coming at you here with another video. Some Ultimania stuff came out. A lot of you all are asking me about if I'd seen it on Twitch last night while I was streaming. A bunch of people have hit me on Twitter asking if I've read it. No, I had not until today. Some interesting stuff on there, to say the least. But before I do that, before I get into that, I want to give a quick shout out to Stephen Williams on Twitter. He follows me on Twitter, checks out the YouTube. He enjoys the content, and he got me wise to this to begin with. No one had told me about it before he did. He hit me up and basically told me that in the articles they confirmed that my theory about the ending of the game being basically Advent children, or influenced by Advent children, with Kadaj, Yazoo and Loz being the whispers that you fight at the end of it, is confirmed to be correct. And so thank you so much, and that makes me feel good. People told me that I was one of the first ones they saw with that theory up, so made me feel really good to kind of be accurate about that, you know. So we'll see what else I'm accurate and inaccurate about. That's part of the fun of all of this. But shout out to you, Steve, and I appreciate you, brother. Real quick, I want to go ahead and get into some of this content. The person he had tagged this Itaiki Mochi person. I say person because you never know if it's a guy or a girl online, but tagged her in this thing that he sent me, and then I followed her on Twitter and found that she had a lot of content on there that people were saying is legit and accurate as far as translations go. So it's the first one I want to talk about. It says, quote by Kitase on how different the Final Fantasy VII Remake will be from the original story. We are not drastically changing the story and making it into something completely different than the original. Even though it's a remake, please assume the story of Final Fantasy VII will continue as Final Fantasy VII always has. Now, I think that's fantastic. I think that's great. But you need to take it with a grain of salt, too. You know, I think they're seeing a lot of people with the backlash for the story online. And I think they're trying to, not saying this is inaccurate. I'm not saying at all that I'm not saying he's lying. I'm saying he's also a company man, so be careful about how much of this you believe. We'll talk about this other piece right here. How did you go about developing the various scenarios in the remake? Nomura's answer: when I requested a scenario to Nojima, I first thought, if I am to create the Final Fantasy VII Remake, I would like to do it this way. I then conveyed my ideas to him. During that phase, I planned to make this be more than just a mere remake. For example, the battle system this time around is in real time instead of using an ATB gauge, and with that, the story itself took a turn that isn't just the basic Final Fantasy VII, but something new. That's the kind of story I wanted to create. Now, before I get into the rest of this right there, that's why I say be careful about buying into that, because Game 2 is already underway, and hopefully Game 2 is not too far out. Because I'm not getting into the snippet, but Nomura said he wants it out as soon as possible. So, does that mean smaller chunks, like a downloadable version of the game, or is that like just a big chunk of DLC, or what does that mean? You know, what does that mean? Is it going to be 20 hours of DLC, basically? Who knows? But getting into this other part here, Nojima, as for me, I knew that even though at the very core, this story is about Cloud, the works from the compilation of Final Fantasy VII have greatly increased over the years. That's insinuated. And I wanted to make something that takes all of those works and combine it into one. Each person who played the original version also has their own vision of the world of Final Fantasy VII, and I wanted to preserve that too. The results of those feelings are shown within the remake's story. These were all the ideas I had, so in the beginning I would initially show it to Nomura-san, and I tried my best to explain them clearly to make sure he didn't reject them. Alright, so the way I take that is there aren't going to be major changes to the story of Final Fantasy VII as a whole. That includes the compilation. They're looking at as if they had the compilation the whole time when they made Final Fantasy VII back in '97. That's kind of what I take from this. They're taking every piece of everything they have written and developed over the years and making it into this new Final Fantasy VII Remake. which, if you all remember, me and a few other YouTubers out there, we said this is what they were going to do. About, it was months ago, way before release. We said this is what they're going to do, and everybody's like, no, the compilation's not canon. It's not canon. They're not using compilation. They've said they're not using the compilation. When did they say they weren't using compilation? When did they say they weren't using it? Now, right here, they're using it. They are absolutely using the compilation of Final Fantasy VII. So whether you hated Crisis Core, Before Crisis, Dirge of Cerberus, Advent Children, whatever, they've already used Advent Children in it. Advent Children's in it. Aspects of Crisis Core are in it. You can, in the Underground Lab, the Deep Ground from Dirge of Cerberus, it's in Remake. Everything is in there. The group that made the attempt on your life, Heidegger says to President Shinra, that's from Before Crisis. It's all already in there, people. It's totally happening. I think this is cool. I think this is good news. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people out there aren't really too happy about it, but I mean, that's just the way it goes. I mean, I figured they were going to use the entirety of the compilation, and that's absolutely what they're doing. They're using the entirety of the compilation. That's how it's going to go down. I can't wait for more. And not only that, but it's right here in black and white. The stuff I'm worried about with Nomura, I hope they reel him in a little bit. I love the ending, but the ending towed for me who thinks out there and wildly. And no, I'm not a big Kingdom Hearts fan. I enjoyed the first 2 games enough. I never played any after that, so don't sling that at me. But if that's your thing, that's great. I like to think outside the box. I like big wild theories and stories and stuff like that, and I like the direction this game is going. But it was towing the line of a little too much, to be honest with you. It was honestly towing the line of being just a little too much. Kitase, the producer, needs to be able to reel Nomura in a little bit. And Nojima, he has really not a lot of say over what happens in the final product. But Nojima is the big brain responsible for what we're going to get from the story and what we've gotten from the story in the past. So I trust Nojima. I trust Kitase. Nomura is brilliant, but he needs people to reel him in. He needs people to wrangle him in, Don't just let him go wild on this. But this game, Remake, it's a good start. This is a great start. I want to see where it goes. I'm excited about the news that they're going to use compilation stuff. And like I said, I said it for months. I've said it for months. They're going to use everything. They're going to use everything. Every piece of the compilation, anything written for Final Fantasy VII, they're going to use all of it. It's all going to get used. So, every game is going to get used. Not every piece of every game, but every game is going to get used in some way. So, don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if you see an Angeal, if you see some new version of Genesis, if you see anything from that compilation anymore, don't be surprised. So, that's all I got to say. Anyway, hope y'all liked that. If you did, if you dug it, hit a like on that video. Throw a comment on there. Let's get a conversation going. What do you all think about that? I mean, I think it's good news, but I understand that a lot of you don't enjoy most of the compilation stuff. I get it. That's your thing. There are parts of the compilation I'm not huge on, but for the most part, I think it's a pretty neat work. It's a pretty nice piece of work altogether. But anyway, you all have a great night. Keep rocking. I will catch you all in the next video. And yes, I did see a bunch of stuff on Twitter about Assassin's Creed going Viking. I haven't seen it yet, but as soon as I do and I digest it, I'll make a video about it. So don't you all worry. Don't you all worry. I will get that out. So anyway, y'all take it easy. Keep rocking. I will catch you all in the next video. All right? Be good to each other. Stay safe.